Thank you, Pilar. So my name is Ghady. I met Pilar when I went to Mexico, and I was working with an organization called Hult Prize, basically that helps organizations create their own social enterprises. So basically now I work in a technology company in sales, where I look for new prospects, and I manage the relationships with these prospects to make sure that we can at some point upsell to these prospects. I think, which is why keeping the customers happy is something very important, which is what we're going to talk about now. I've also worked with entrepreneurs before, with the organization I just told you about, which is Halt Prize, and where I was responsible of the relationships with media, with different stakeholders within Lebanon, which is the country that I'm from. Um, and basically I was responsible of building the relationships, maintaining the relationships with the different stakeholders there. I've also done like a lot of volunteering activities, whether related to women empowerment, entrepreneurs, and so many others. So to start with the presentation, so that we wouldn't waste time, as mentioned, sorry, one second. Okay, I don't know what happened. 1 second, sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, great. So basically, I will be speaking about customer experience because of the impact it has on the business, whether on its profitability or on its growth. And you'll be seeing that later. So many studies were done to show basically the importance of customer experience. And one of them was done by Harvard Business Review, and it shows that there's a direct link between the customer experience and the annual revenue. So basically they found that customers who had the best experience were shown to spend 140% more than those who had bad experience. So for a business to run successfully, it's very important to have satisfied clients. So now, these days, as you might know, everything is becoming a commodity. There is competition in every single field that we work in. What's really important is how the customers feel and how they perceive their business and how the experience that they're having with you, how it's making them feel. And all of that has to do with what is called customer experience. So, as Pilar just said, that she mentioned that you guys are building your own companies, your entrepreneurs, starting your startups. Basically, sometimes when we start our companies, we think that we don't have to listen to anyone, but in fact, we do have a boss, and it's the customer. And here we can see a quote by the founder of Walmart, Sam Walton, saying that the customer can fire us by simply investing their money somewhere else. So basically, customer is king. Customer is the most important thing. So it's important to make them happy. Now we talked about customer experience and how it's important, but now let's take a look on the definition of customer experience. Basically, it is the interactions and experiences that your customer has with your business throughout the entire customer journey. And now we're gonna see what the customer journey is, whether from the first contact, when they don't know anything about you, about the company, until they become, hopefully, they become a happy and loyal customer. So all of that is customer experience. Now, this is another research done by Oracle that shows the same, the importance of keeping our customers happy in order for them to be loyal advocates, loyal customers for us. So if you treat your customers poorly, basically, to put it in simple words, treat your customer poorly, ignore their customer service emails, ignore their complaints, and then they are more likely to stop doing business with you. This is why companies that deliver a superior customer experience outperform their competitors. So, so if a great customer experience is focused on making sure all the interactions are positive, enjoyable, seamless, then the opposite is true when it comes to bad customer experience. So obviously, as you can see here, you'll be losing a lot of money when you have bad customer experience. Your customers will leave you if you have bad customer experience. Now, I want to ask you something. In your opinion, what can be some causes for bad customer experience? Who can answer me? Can you give me examples?
I think, in my opinion, I once bought a product that, like, the product looked like the one I bought, but it wasn't working, and it took about 3 months until I got any contact with anyone in the company. I sent emails, I called them. It took 3 months until anyone responded to me.
Okay, and how did you feel? Did you end up buying anything from that company again?
No, definitely not.
Of course not, right? Right. Okay, so this is amazing, which exactly shows the importance of like of the experience that you have with the company and how how that affects you whether you're gonna go back and buy from them or no. Thank you so much for this very valid example. Anyone else? No? Okay. Okay, then I'll give you some examples if I can. So these are some most common causes for bad customer experiences. Waiting too long on hold, like you just mentioned, ignoring customer feedback, like you send them so many emails, they never answered, whether sometimes if I'm booking a ticket for I want to travel to Brazil, for example, I'm trying to book a ticket online. If it's taking so long, I'm not being able to put my credit card and all of that, I'm gonna be like, okay, no way, I'm gonna lose this website. I don't have time for this. Now everyone is very busy, so if you're not giving the customers a very simple experience and very easy to use, they're gonna walk away. Which is personally, this is what I would be doing. So basically, now, what's the solution? How can the organization create a great customer experience strategy, basically to make sure that the customers are happy and that they can come back to us? Let's check some ways to improve the customer experience, basically, in order for us to reduce churn and increase revenues, basically to make sure we won't lose any customers. Because you know that it's a lot more expensive for us to gain a new customer than to retain the customers, right? Because let's say you're gonna go and get a new customer, you have expenses for marketing, for PR, you're paying for your salespeople, you're paying for your technical people for them to do the prototypes and for the customers to evaluate all of that. It's gonna cost. There's cost involved, there's time involved, all of that. So instead of putting all of this effort and then losing the customer and then doing it all over again, it's very easy. Just keep the customer happy and keep your customers, and they will always keep buying back from you and buying from you and buying from you. So, so the first step in your customer experience strategy is to have a clear customer focused vision, basically that you can communicate with your organization. Just create a set of statements and خلاص, let these statements guide you. Let them be like the constitution, like خلاص, this is what everything is revolved around. And make sure that hello?
خلاص.
I said yeah, I said خلاص, right? Yeah. خلاص, like it means like no, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you guys to understand her.
I don't know if you know this word. It's just a common Arabic word. Okay. So now something that is very, very, very important is to understand your customers, what they need and what they want. And one way to do that is to segment your customers and create what we call personas or customer profiles. Try to give each persona a name and personality. Example, let's say one buyer persona is called Pilar. She's 29, you're 29? 29 years old, right? Or 28? 28, sorry. So her name is Pilar. She's 28 years old. She's very tech savvy. She can, let's say she works in IT and she can manage her own IT infrastructure without any need of any customer support. And another customer persona, for example, and another customer profile, her name is Ghady. She's 26. she's not tech savvy at all. She always asks us for support. So in this situation, I ask for more support. The company I'm working with can charge me more because I need more services, I need more time and more support. So by creating these personas, your customer support team can recognize who they are and understand the customers better. So if the customers require a generic help, you wouldn't have to charge them a lot, but you can charge them a premium if they request additional attention, for example. Now, the best customer experiences are achieved when someone from your team creates an emotional connection with the customer. And basically, you really remember how you felt when you're doing the activity more than you remember anything else. So basically, basically when you were calling the customer support and they're not helping you, and then you were trying to reach out to them, and how like you were feeling something very bad. What if someone answered you from the beginning and they told you, look, we're so sorry for that, we feel with you, we understand what you're going through, and we'll make it better, we'll send you another product, and we'll send you a gift with it. Then what would you do? You would buy, like you would recommend this company to your friends. You would start buying from it more. So it's really how you're feeling at this moment, and how the customer support, or how the whole team from the company you're working with make you feel. And as you can see here, there's this study from Harvard Business Review that that shows that emotionally engaged customers are not very price sensitive, they're less price sensitive, and they're more likely to recommend your service or product, and they are more likely to purchase it themselves, to repurchase it, to buy it again. Now, you might have a great sales team. However, if you didn't get what you want, if the package arrived very late, if you're trying to reach out to the customer support and they weren't answering, basically, if you have one bad experience with the company, the whole sales cycle and the whole investment of money that were put into this would go to loss. So this is why an analysis of the customer feedback is very important. So what can you do? What can you do to really understand if you are delivering a good customer experience? There are so many tools that you can use. One, you can see usually in some of the website, there's like a live chat tools where you can chat with people, representatives from the company, and express how you're feeling, and you're usually having real-time conversation. This is very important for you to feel that you are heard as a customer. The companies can also send a follow-up email to every customer. They can send them surveys. They can ask them questions about their experiences. They can even make outbound calls. They can have representatives specifically to call the people that bought from them, in order for them to gain more insightful feedback about the customer and how they see this product or offering. Now, again, no matter how good your service was, no matter how amazing everything was, one problem, and you're gonna stop you're gonna stop buying from this. For example, I live in Dubai now. I had this cleaning service, an application on my phone. I used to get them every weekend for a year and a half. And once I ordered them, and then no one came to my house, and I kept waiting for like an hour, and I was trying to call, even though everything was perfect for 1 year and a half. After that, because this happened, I literally removed the application from my phone. They started calling me from that, and I stopped answering them. I'm like, no, sorry, no matter how you were good, I do not have to deal with you. There are so many, because again, all the services, all the products are commodities now. You can find them everywhere and anywhere with the same price. So it's basically the experience that makes me want to go with this application, with this service, or with the other service. So basically, it's very important to make sure to have a mechanism which resolves the customer complaints on time, and not to ignore them when they might need assistance. And of course, it's very important to know what customers think about the quality of your service compared to the customer experience principles you have defined. Basically, it's very important to identify the needs for each individual member of your customer support team. Make sure that your team is very prepared. They know the product. They know everything. Schedule and track your team's development. Do some coaching. It's that, like, in order for your customers to be happy, your team has to be happy. Your team has to be trained enough in order for them to know how to deal with these customers, whether they're happy or unhappy, in order for them to be happy again. Of course, we should always research our competitors to see what they're doing good, whether in the service or product part, or as well in the customer experience. They might have something that's making the customers very happy to deal with them. If we research that, we can be able to do it as well. And of course, it's always important to review and optimize any strategy that you're working on, because, now with the technology and everything that's happening in the world, basically everything is changing very fast. So some factors that we're taking into consideration 1 year ago might change now. For example, with COVID, after COVID happened, everything that was before changed. Like, the life as we know it changed. So it's very important to keep an open mind and to always be optimizing and working on changing our strategies. Okay, so now that we talked about a few things that are very important in order to have a good strategy and make sure for the customers to have a good customer experience. Now, how do we make sure that this experience? So we did what we can do. We tried this, we tried that. We made sure we understood the customers. We have the values in place. We have the feedback in real time. All of this, we did it. But even still, after we do it, how do we know that what we were trying to do worked? How do we know that we did have a positive experience? So one strategy that can be done here, which is very very good, is to map the customer journey. Mapping out the customer journey, as you can see here, can be split into 3 distinct stages. One of them is to draw out the customer journey life cycle, which we're going to be talking about in a bit. Then identify the company and customer touch points. Then analyze the gap between the existing strategies and the expectations. And then we find what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, and focus on making everything better. Before we move on, what is the customer journey? It's basically the complete experience a customer has with an organization. Basically, it encompasses all customer interactions across channel, devices, touch points, throughout every stage of the customer life cycle. From the beginning, when they don't know anything about us, they start being aware of us, until hopefully they become a loyal customer. The definition of customer experience and customer journey, once you listen to that, once you read them, you think, okay, it's the same. But actually, they complete each other. The customer journey is what the customers do at each stage of the customer life cycle, of like when the customer starts getting to know the offerings until they become a loyal customer. As for the customer experience, it is how they feel about the entire customer life cycle. So one of them is what they do, and one of them is how they feel. Now that we know what the customer journey means, it's good to know that it has 7 phases. You can start with the out of market phase. Is the first one. It's basically when the customer is looking to improve their business. They're still not sure how to do it. They just know that they want to make things better. They want to be more productive. They want to increase the profits, but they don't know how. There's nothing in specific in their mind, but they are open to inspiration. Then there's the trigger. The trigger begins once the customer uncovers the opportunity to grow their business. Basically, they're starting to understand. Maybe they figured out that the sales is going down, the revenues are going down. This is where they're starting to understand how they can make things better. And then we go to the initial brand consideration phase, which is here is when the customer identifies a solution. So basically, they figured out the solution. Here they identify what the solution is for the problem, and they start the search. So basically, they identified the problem and they start the search. They figured out what are the top brands in the market, and they built a long list of potential solutions that can help them solve their problems. Now, there's the active evaluation. As we said in the previous phase, there was a very long list of potential solutions. Now, in the active evaluation, the company starts making a smaller list. So they start shortlisting the best vendors that, in their opinion, can help them solve their solution in the most efficient way. And then they will contact this vendor, invite them to a meeting, invite them to a demo. And after that, the customer will review the solutions depending on the expertise, the budget, the scalability, the liability. They do like take into consideration all the different factors in order for them to be able to make a decision. Then we go to the decision phase, which is the purchase decision phase. That's what they call it. Here's where the customer chooses a vendor. They agree on a solution, they sign the contract, and then basically they want to start the implementation, right? And of course, in that phase, they already agreed with the customer, and the vendor already agreed on the different KPIs they want to achieve, and what is the success criteria they're looking for. Then you go to the green part, which is the experience phase. This is when the customer wants to get the solution to everything started, and they want the launch and the solution that they already acquired. They want it to be very smooth, and they want to start using in a very easy way without any problems. And here also the customer's team gets trained by the vendor. And of course, it's very important for the customer to always have direct access to a consultant, to an account manager, to a sales guy or girl, to make sure that they can always ask the questions they need, in order for them at the end to get to the very important phase, which is the loyalty phase. So after everything is done, hopefully the customer is happy, they see very fast results, very efficient, everything's perfect. So here the vendor continues to follow up. They continue to ask them to see if they have any other issues. They be like what you call their trusted advisor. In case there is anything happening, the vendor will be the first to know. So if this happens, if the vendor was smart enough to make sure that the customer is taking them as a trusted advisor, they can gain the loyalty. They can gain the loyalty of the customer. And in that situation, can you see the circle here? Can you see that here from loyalty, you can directly go to purchase decision and then experience? Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes. So, oh,
Yes.
sorry. Oh. Okay, sorry. Okay, so here as you can see, there is loyalty. If we were able to gain the loyalty of the customer, we will directly be able to move to purchasing decision, experience, and then we can stay in this loop. So the customer, the vendor would not have to go through all of this process to pay money, try to prove their points to the customer, try to compete with the other competitors. So after the loyalty, the next phase is purchase decision, then experience. And you can, if you gain the loyalty of your customers, literally look how many phases you won't have to go through. And therefore, imagine how much cost you will be cutting, how much time you will be saving. But again, even if you're in this cycle for so many years, and then If you lose the loyalty of the customer, if you do one thing wrong because of any mistake, any event that makes them unhappy, you're going to go back to the first phase, which is out of market, and then go again. Invest in all of that. Try to convince the customer that you're the best option and go through all of that. So here also you can see how important it is to make sure to keep the customer happy and to in order for them to become loyal to our brand. Now, it's important to note that the customer journey cannot be drawn out of your own perspective. Basically, it has to be drawn out of the customer's point of view. So basically, let's just think like a customer. But how can you really understand what the customer wants? Basically, you really have to ask questions. You really have to collect feedback from the customer. And here are some questions that you can really ask the questions and throughout the different phases to the customers to understand them better, to understand who they are, what they look for, basically how they find their company. You're gonna have to, if you understand how they found your company this time, you can use that with other times when you're prospecting. You can, if you understand how important the free trial during your buying process, we're gonna see in a bit that in every phase there are different touch points that the customer use. If we understand the customer and how they function in different phases, will make our life a lot easier. So as I said before, the customer, there are different touch points for the customer in different phases. So what does customer touch point mean? It is the opportunities for customers to interact with the solution with the vendor, basically. And so these are some touch points through which the customer can come into direct contact with your company or with your product or service or etc. Basically, this doesn't mean that these are the touch points that you use to try to reach your customers today, which is why it's important to draw the touch point from your customer's perspective, how your customers are trying to reach out to you at different phases, and the touch points that you are using at each phase of the customer journey to find the gap. And we're going to see an example now. So this is an example. So as you can see, the first column is the different phases. Remember them? We just talked about them. The out of market phase, trigger phase, initial brand consideration, active evaluation, purchase, experience, and then loyalty. So this is the first phase. Then comes the company touch points. What the company is doing according to the strategy of the company. And then there's the customer touch point. This is example. This is an example. It's not something generic. So for this specific customer, this is what the customer wants. The customer wants to use conferences in order for them to be to understand more during the out of market phase. But is this what the company is doing in this situation? No. In this situation, the company is just sending direct mail. So what the customer is using, so basically the touch points that the customer is using is different than the touch points that the company is using. So this is very bad because here the company is investing money on marketing, but it's not getting them any return on their investment. So how do we do this? We should draw out the customer journey and touch points from customer's perspective, as we can see here, and map out the touch points that you use to try to reach your customers today based on your existing business strategies, allowing you to identify the gaps. Here, as mentioned, we saw what are the 7 phases before. Now we need to ask the right questions to be able to draw out the customer touch points. Basically, compare that to the touch points we are using today to reach out to the customer. So basically, now you'll understand what you are doing versus what you should be doing to reach to your customers. So what's the result? Now, if you are a customer-centric company, if you know how to deal with your customer, if your sole goal is the customer, you should get an exact match with your strategies as like compared to what the customer touch point on every single phase. However, if you're not doing it right, there will be a mismatch in activity. So in this situation, you have to remove all the activities you are currently doing that do not have any impact, which means that are not equivalent to what the customer wants, to what the customer needs, and to what the customer is using on every single phase. In that way, you will reduce the costs that you have and that do not make any sense, that are not efficient, and that will increase your profit. So basically, just anyone can tell me, is this efficient? For example, is this company efficient? Is it customer centric? Are they doing it right?
No.
No, right? Because as you can see, in each there's only in the purchase decision, the company touch points are the same as the customer touch points. In all the other phases, it's not. So basically, they're investing money on things that are not getting them any return. So what's the point? Right?
How can you
I guess.
Yeah, but how can you define what the customer wants? I mean,
So yeah, you have to ask questions. You have to ask the right questions, do your market research, and to understand like what others are doing. We see, as well as these are some questions. For example, how did you find my company? Here. Okay, here he said conference. Okay, so he used the he usually finds out about the companies through the conferences that he goes to. Oh, but here my company does not do the conferences. So how is he gonna know about my company? Right? If you always ask the right questions and do your research, so it always depends on the market you're in, on the customers you're dealing with and everything. Yeah?
yeah, totally. Okay.
Can I ask you something very fast?
Sure. Yes, of course.
Here, what you were saying about like getting to new audiences, like what is the best, I don't know if tool or method to get to new sectors of customers?
So basically you mean understanding your buyer personas, or what do you mean exactly?
Like for example, as Pilar said at the beginning, like now we have our niche market very well identified, but we want to go like to new segments of the I don't know, like we are focused on students right now, but we
Okay.
want
Yes.
like other users of public transport to get to know us, but we don't know like how to get to these new audiences. I don't know if I
How
explained
to
it
target
better.
the new audience. So basically,
Yeah.
you know who the new audience is, but you want to see how you can target the new audience, right?
Yes.
True. Okay. So basically, there are so many things that you can do. One, you can basically send surveys. You can send surveys to a sample of people from these new audiences. What's the new audience? Sorry, who is your your target
Sorry.
audience?
Like our project is of public transport, so the new audience will be like all the other people that use public transport that aren't students.
Maybe
That
like
are not students.
from like workers or something.
Yes, like workers.
So basically, yeah. So basically, you need to find a way to reach these people. You can so if there are people that are online through social media, for example, these polls that they put on social media to understand what would you do in this. For example, would you take the bus? Would you take your car? Would you walk? So now with social media, it's very easy to listen to what the customers want. You can gather a sample of people. You can even send your people on ground to ask questions to people walking. So you can either use technology or you can, especially before you start. Here you haven't really started your customer journey. It's the first phase of your customer journey. You're trying to understand how to reach them. So you need to send basically surveys, polls on social media. Try to see, for example, what these people are posting. Send people on ground. I think this would be very helpful as well. Send people on ground, see, okay, ask them, why are you taking this bus? Why are you walking? If I understand that they're taking the public transportation, right? So you can send very simple ways, sometimes can be very helpful. You can send someone to people where to the place where they take the bus stop, for example. Someone can ask people there, like about the questions that you want to understand from the customers.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
No worries.
Ghady,
Any
we
other?
have a question. Yeah. Vivian is saying that can you keep all your customers completely satisfied?
You can try. Of course, it's not always possible. 100%. No one's perfect, right? But it's very important to invest time, to invest effort, to invest money on it, because it's easy. It's a lot cheaper for you to keep your current customers than to get new customers. Nothing is perfect, right? No one can do everything 100% perfectly. So I don't know if I answered your question. Like, not 100%, maybe it's not possible, but at least you should always try your best to make them always satisfied, because this is your, like, this is what's paying you money. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. She said like it's okay. Thank you.
And for example, there's something called Net Promoter Score, NPS, which is how often do the customers recommend your service or product to other people. This is also something, for example, that you can use to measure how satisfied your customers are with you. It's usually, by the way, not a lot. If for example, now if I research Net Promoter Score for, I don't know, HP, for a lot of very known companies, by the way, it's not very good. So not people, like the customers don't always tend to recommend these services or these products for other people. But what we're saying is that it's very important to try our best to do that, because this is the best practices. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Now, again, the more often you can meet the customer at each stage of the journey, the more likely they are to do business with you. Because as long as you keep the customer happy, your business will be profitable and you're gonna be happy. If you're married to your business, it's as long as the customer is happy, you have a happy life. If you're very focused on your business, just keep your customer happy, and this is what's gonna make your business success, and this is what's gonna give you prosperity. Any questions? Sorry, I didn't know I had the video off.
No worries. Okay, maybe we can start with some questions here.
Thank you, guys.
So do
Very
you have,
cute audience.
yeah. Do you have any tip, like for them to start focus on first, like they haven't done this big market research, they haven't done this oh, well, we can go with Frankie's raising hand.
Oh yeah, please. What do I do? Yeah, you can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
All right.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Nice presentation.
Thank
I
you.
really like it. I really like it. You really did a lot of research into what you are doing. and I feel like I
Thank
can
you.
listen and listen and listen like podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
So basically, I want to give a real life scenario.
Sure.
In the case of a company that I worked in Dubai before, in Ajman City. You are
Okay.
in the UAE, Ajman. You know Ajman City?
Yeah, I live in Dubai. So yeah,
Okay,
I know.
I was in Ajman. And
Yes.
the company I worked, basically they used to deal with a lot of airlines.
Yes.
And I think the management sometimes they fail in doing research about the customers.
And sorry, and what?
Or maybe sometimes the management of the company failed in the terms of researching about their customers. Because, can you hear me?
I couldn't hear you, sorry. They failed in what?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So I think you just nailed a real life experience that I saw whilst I was in the UAE.
Okay.
The company failed in terms of researching about their customers. We
Okay.
really had a customer terminating their contract with the company because shipment always go to them lately. Like they really need the product as early as 6 o'clock. But sometimes the product will go there like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And maybe if they had had this information that you are given right now, they could have corrected their mistake. And
Yeah.
I'll be glad to write to them about my experience from you and other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ibrahim.
Thank you. Okay. As I was saying, like, do you have any tip, or any advice for them? You know, like they haven't done this big market research; they are just getting started. Like, which is the most important part of this customer journey that they should focus the most? Like maybe interviewing, or maybe like creating the whole experience, or how is it something one more important than other?
So basically, it's all important, of course. So it's important to understand the customer, to have the customer story. It's important to make sure to never let them down. As Brahim was saying, one mistake and everything will be ruined. So it's very important to keep everything going from the beginning till the end. Do your research. Very important to understand the customer. Imagine I'm calling, like imagine I have a problem in my phone, and then you're not even listening to what I have to say, right? And then how would you be able to help me if you don't understand where I'm coming from, if you don't understand my background, if you don't understand that, for example, for some countries, if you're late, if you order something and you're late, in their culture, this is very bad. They wouldn't tolerate it at all. In some other cultures, it's fine if you're late 30 minutes to give me what I want. So you have to understand the culture, you have to understand the people that you're dealing with. It's very important, I think. But overall the whole thing is important. Like make sure to always be
Okay.
on top of everything, because one mistake would ruin everything, as this is an example that was given now.
That's important. Yes. Okay. Maybe we can ask them, you know, like to put into practice with your own venture what she has done. Like maybe what would be like your biggest fail in your company, no? And you tell us like if they are good or not. No?
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe we can start maybe with Evelyn, for example. What would be the biggest mistake you would do with your customer?
Hello?
Yes.
I think she's asking a question to us. Oh,
Sorry.
I thought she
I
was
couldn't
asking a question to us.
Yes, yes.
I thought Pilar was asking a question.
Yes, it was actually a question. Do you want to participate, Ibrahim?
Not yet, not yet.
No, So participate now, like talk, like say, what would it be like your biggest failure in terms of your customer, for your customer journey?
Yes, my biggest failure is not to be patient with the customer because I deal with children all the time. And sometimes some of them are very stubborn. You know, African children, they are very stubborn at times. So
Yes.
I feel like if I'm not patient and I shout and shout and shout, they will not come back the next day for the digital skills training. So I always try as much as possible to be very patient with them. I think my
Of
biggest
course,
mistake
you
was,
have to be very patient. Yes,
yeah,
of
I
course,
have to be very patient.
for sure.
Awesome, thank you, Ibrahim. And maybe, for example, how can you ensure the best experience for your customer, Evelyn?
Again to me?
No, to Evelyn.
Okay.
Thank you, Ibrahim.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the best would be proof to the customer that you are like transparent, because I think when you try to lie to your customer, this is very, very bad. And I had in Brazil some experiences with this kind of company and I felt very bad. So I think this is a very important value to the companies.
For sure, 100%. Because if you lose their trust once, like imagine someone lying to you, would you trust them again? Never. So definitely, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
In business and in life,
Huh?
in business and in your life,
Always. Yeah,
in life
always.
in general.
Exactly. Exactly. How we can make.
Bruno is asking, like, do you have any tips? How can we make the customer happy and satisfied when we don't offer the physical service, but we are only the mediator that connects professionals with possible customers?
Okay. So how can we make the customers happy? So basically you're saying that your startup is something like a mediator, right? Like the
Yes,
Uber of something.
yes.
Okay. So it's literally the same, honestly. It's not about the physical or the service. So basically not everything is a product. Sometimes it's a service, right? That you provide. Sometimes it's consultancy service. Sometimes it's such a service. It's literally the same. So understand your customers, do your research very well, and make sure you're always following up to make sure everyone's, again, it's not going to always work 100%. You cannot satisfy everyone in the world, but like following up even after the product is done, even after the service is done, like let them fill a survey sometimes, let your team, if you're still a small team, for example, maybe you don't have a lot of customers, personalize the calls. Let if for I don't know how many customers you have now, for example, since you're just starting, that what's good about when you're just starting is that you don't have a lot of customers. So the customers that you have, you can focus on having a personal relationship with them. So once you grow, this relationship is very tight and they're loyal. So yes, I don't know, if you have 10 customers, make sure to call them after every discussion, after every thing that they buy from you, after every service to buy from you, to make sure that they're still happy even after. Not only, it's not just now they bought and it's done, it's the ongoing relationship. If you go back to the 7 phases where there's the loyalty, and then they can come back to you if they're happy without going to any competitor.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other question?
I have a very hypothetical question.
Go ahead.
For example, if you have your product and I don't know, 50% of your customers are happy with that and the other 50% is not. But then when you want to optimize your strategy, when you change that, you satisfy the 50% that we're not. What can you do if the 50% that you have happy at the first change of idea and they are not happy anymore with your product? What can you do with that?
So yeah, so if I understood your question right, so basically you have 50% that are satisfied and 50 others that are not satisfied. And then you're at the point where you're thinking of just changing your strategy, right?
Right. But then
You know,
your 50% that were happy are not anymore
yes,
happy.
yes. So basically, this is where it's important to build your buyer persona. This is what you talked about before, the profiles of the customers, right? So this type of customer with this specific age, this specific group, these are the people that are satisfied, and these are the people that are not satisfied. Did you try to ask at first, try to understand why they're not satisfied? Now answer me, theoretical answer, why are they not satisfied?
I don't know. Possibly they don't like the way you can use it, for example.
So basically, you cannot always have all the customers in the world. So
No.
so basically some people are not going to be interested in your product. Some people want to buy from Zara, and some people want to buy from H&M, and some people want to go to buy from Gucci, right? Not everyone can buy from Gucci. So it depends who your target audience is, and this should be very clear for you from the beginning. If these 50% do not like your product, then you have to decide. You're either going to focus on this niche market that you're working on, or you're going to have to come up with a different product that, for example, my customers, I'm Zara, my customers buy from me, but some customers go and buy from Gucci. They want a higher end clothes. Okay, of course they're not gonna like mine. So I have two options. I either focus on my niche market, or on the market that I'm working on, or I have to figure out if it makes sense for me to go and compete in the high-end products of clothing. So this is not related to customer experience, right? It's related to whether they like your product or service, if they're interested in it or no, because your service might not be a good fit for this specific type of customer. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to waste resources, like in focusing on people that are not interested in your product.
Exactly. This is why you need to understand the type of your customers to build profiles for the customers that you're looking for, that you're working with, I mean.
Awesome. And do you have any experience, well, like which one has been the best brand that you have worked with, or any company, or which one would you recommend the most? Like they had a really cool customer strategy, or that you would say like, okay, if I do my own brand, I would do this.
I honestly don't have anything in mind, but for example, the technology company that I work with, remember I mentioned the Net Promoter Score? Remember? It's basically how often it is that the customers would recommend you to another person. For example, the Net Promoter Score is between -100 or 100 and +100, something like that. My company, the work company I work for, is +90, which is, and the average is usually a lot lower. So I'm sure they're doing something right. I'm not sure about their strategy and how they're doing it, but because I work with them, I know how they prioritize the customer no matter what. For example, once we were working on a deal with a customer, and the country manager that I was working with, he was following up with a customer, because this customer was not satisfied, this customer was not happy. So the country manager himself was talking to him. So he invested time with him. And then I'm like, I didn't know. I was like, okay, this is very good, but why are you investing that much time with him? He's like, we're building a long-term thing. We're building loyalty with this customer. Now that he is happy with us, he is gonna go tell other people how we supported him. He's gonna go tell other people how we're very customer-centric, and then these other people will have a better image about us and will come back to us. 1, 2. How easy is it gonna be for us to upsell and to cross-sell, to sell more for this customer? Do you know? Very easy. It was literally, we just WhatsApp him now, And then, do you have any new requirements? And then because he loves us, he would just literally tell us. He doesn't go to any competitors anymore. So, which is an example of how important it is.
The loyalty, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
you can open your mic.
Yes.
Okay, I have a question here. My company works with a service that we
Yeah.
export, and also with designing and create the product. So we deal with two different stuff here. How can we track or systemize the perception of our customer? Like, how can we do it? Because we are dealing with like resellers or a franchise or people who are working with us in other countries, and we are also dealing with the final consumer. How can we do it? Like,
So I cannot give you a specific answer for that. It depends. You have to research the market again. But what's very important here, since you are dealing again with two types of customers, there are different customer profiles that you need to build and to understand through research, market research, to understanding what other competitors are doing in this market. There is no general here in these situations, right? There's nothing that's general. Okay, you can do 1, 2, 3 and you're gonna get it.
yeah,
It's
not
a
a
bit
math.
of trial. Yeah, it's not math at all. It's because you're dealing with human, and human, like, you can never say خلاص I'm gonna do. I said خلاص again. You can never
Okay.
you can never say no, I'm just gonna do this and it's gonna work out. No, you can never say that. But what you can do is that you do your research, segment the customers that you're dealing with. This profile of these people that I'm working here as end client. I don't know that the second is ones for the operations that you just mentioned. As long as these are clear for you, you can know how to research them starting from there, right? But if you're confusing both of them, you can never understand. How would you start the research if you're not understanding what you are researching to start with?
Okay, I got it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
شكرا.
No worries. أهلا.
What did he say?
Everyone speaks Arabic here, apparently. Shoo, Pilar, you don't speak Arabic.
Yes, I speak like I only know like ahlan wa sahlan, but that's Omri wa. How do you say 28?
28.
I know, super difficult. Forget it. I'm not going to learn Arabic ever.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, any other question, guys? Not in Arabic, or maybe you can tell her in Portuguese or in Spanish. Like how?
I'm learning Spanish.
Hmm?
I'm learning Spanish, but I still don't understand.
Yeah, you told me. Yes. Well, maybe question in Spanish. Let me think.
Easy though.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I need help, guys. Something in Spanish, like super easy. About this, about the topic, or about anything else?
Whatever you want.
About the
Something
topic.
easy though.
Something easy. Okay. Hola, Ghady, ¿cómo te llamas? Ay, ¿cómo te
Bien,
llamas?
¿y tú?
Lo dije.
I know this.
You,
No?
¿Cómo estás? Because I actually asked you what's your name, and I actually said your name.
Oh no, I thought ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué tal or something? Oh, that's different. Okay, never mind. I'll learn later.
Okay, we'll help each other next time. Or does anybody wants to say something in Portuguese or whatever? But in terms of the customer, because it is, I mean, I think we have now clear that the most important thing of your company should be the customer, right? Exactly. So in order to do that, you need to do, to know your persona, to know like your market and everything. So Regina, for example, like which idea do you think that could work for you in order to reach out to more people, for the workers, maybe.
Yeah, or for example, what you told me about going to camp, how do you say, like field, trabajo de campo, ¿cómo se dice, Peach?
Yeah, the field work. Oh, I mean, yeah.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
Field and-
Okay. Like we were actually planning like going on Saturday to interview people on the street. So, but we planned like to ask them like what are their main problems of public transport. But like we know the speech like already that everyone tell us like the same problem. So what other questions can we do to them in order like to get more valuable information? I don't know if I
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, what are you looking for exactly? So basically, a question that would pop into my mind, for example, is like how much are you willing to pay for public transportation, or like I don't know your system exactly. Is it like a bus or what is it exactly? So see, like what would get them to use your service? Like, is it pricing? Is it convenience? So do you get my point?
Yeah, but well, I think I need to explain you like what we like. We want to develop an app, give them information about the routes, but they are going to.
You're cutting. I cannot hear you.
I'm sorry. Can I do?
No. Sorry, Pilar, can you hear her?
No, I thought it was mine.
No.
But it's hers, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything.
No.
You're cutting a lot.
I will write.
Okay, you can type it.
Hello?
She's gonna type it.
Yes, please,
She does-
because I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, me neither. Like but maybe, for example, in these startups for the entertainment industry, I don't know, Mateus, how are you going to ensure a really cool customer journey? Or that one, or is Bruna here? Well, matter.
Wait, that will give them information about the routes, but they won't pay for it. Okay. They won't pay for it. Okay. What can we ask them? Like the features. And what's your model here? Like the app to have. So you have to ask them, how tech savvy are they, right? Would they be able, you have to see, like, are they people that are 80 years old that are using the public transportation that are not going to be able to use the app? Do they have smartphones to start with to be able to have apps, right? So if you have an app, personally, I would think, okay, I want to design an app. With my persona, with my target customer, is it tech savvy? Pilar, do you know Yalla Bus? This startup that started in Lebanon. I think they were doing something very similar, right?
Yes, I didn't remember. Okay, yes. Let me say it.
You remember it?
Yes. That's a really
To offer a consultancy service. Okay, but you're offering a consultancy service to who exactly? To public transport enterprises. Okay. So this is why you need to have an app, and then and I don't know how the system works in Brazil, because for us we don't have public transport enterprises, so I don't understand the system, to be honest. But like generically, I send them Yalla Bus. I think this would be beneficial for you to check out, by the way. I think it's very similar, but it's different because we don't have the same system here. in Lebanon. We don't have like the public transport enterprise, I don't know what. But yeah, so basically it's important to, for example, for Yalla Bus, they were dealing with the bus drivers. So the bus drivers in Lebanon are, some of them don't even have cell phones. Some of them do not have, smartphones, so they cannot download the app, so they cannot use it. And once they have smartphone, the ones that they do not have smartphones, they cannot work with them anymore. Then the ones they have smartphones, the team was going on ground to speak to the bus drivers in order for them to educate them about how to use this specific application. So do they have smartphones? Are they willing to learn? Are they tech savvy, for example? Do they think that at the beginning, do they think that this is something that would be interesting for them? Would they think that this would add value for them? Like, ask them, are you willing to download this? Oh, okay, from Mexico, sorry. So yeah, so are they willing to download this app? Is it paid or it's for free? Did you mention that?
It's gonna be for free.
They won't pay for it. Okay, free. So yeah, so basically, on the top of my mind, I would think of these things. Do they have smartphones? Are they willing to download this app? Do they know how to use it? You can check how their age groups that they're in. And if they do not how to use it, are they willing to learn? If you give them sessions, but like if you put, how are you gonna teach them? Because for Yalla Bus, for example, they were buses, so there were a specific number of people that they're working with. In this situation, you're working with everyone, right? So you cannot go ahead and teach every one of them separately. Is it gonna be that you're gonna put online courses for them? Like, I don't know. How easy it is? How easy can they learn? So these are so many things that should be taken into consideration, I guess. Makes sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And for example, how can they make sure to validate their assumptions? Like they are saying, I think that my customer would be interested in this. Like, do you have any tip, any other than interviewing them or asking?
So basically, I don't think that there's anything other than trying, right? They have to. Remember what we used to do with our startups. They try and then it doesn't work, and then they have to change, right? Sometimes a lot of time we have to be very open-minded about our idea. Sometimes the specific thing that we're working on might have to change. So it's important to understand the customers. Once we feel that we have an understanding that is enough for us to build something very small, like a prototype, and then try it with the customer once it's there. So I might tell you that I'm going to download the application, but then when you tell me that there's an application, I might not download it. So how would you know? You can't know unless you try, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, any other question? Yeah, I was asking you guys, like Mateus or Tawan, in terms of the entertainment industry. Like, I think it is like super, super important for them to have a very well mapped the customer journey, right? Because it's entertainment. Like, you need to have them like
everyone
really.
Especially here, it's always very important, but for entertainment, it's not even something that you need. So if it's not giving them extreme happiness, they're not gonna do it.
Yeah, of course. I think it is more clear now, like the journey and the path. Can you share us with? Can you share your PPT, your presentation?
Sure.
I think
yes.
Do you have any other questions, guys? Because we are almost running out of time. So what?
I don't know if she was. Yeah. Any other questions before the emotional benefits that the customers will have? Is that a question? Or?
Oh no, I think he's answering the. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's answering the.
Oh, yes.
important.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, this is what happens when you type instead of talking, because
Yeah.
we change the topic and then it's like, okay. Anyways, so any other question? Or I think we got it pretty clear. Now I think you are ready for, like go and validate, and now that you know your customer, how to build your customer persona to be more engaged with them, and be, I think one of the keywords would be like empathy, right? Like, um, you need to be aware of what they are feeling and what they are needing, right? So I think you are ready to go and like Regina, no, like they are going to go out on the street even with pandemics. Please take care.
Of course, be careful.
Yes, because it's not the same thing when you are when we have now a huge healthy or world emergency, right? But just go there and go to the bus station, right? And ask every single person. Like, maybe I was thinking, like, maybe why not to challenge your startup itself, right? Like, maybe why are you working with buses? Like, is that the most lovable way of transportation of people? Like, maybe they just use bus because it is the only option for them, like for their pockets, maybe, I don't know. And how can you make it more like, how can you make it better or lovable, maybe something like that. And yeah, so please guys, take care if you're gonna go out and and have, like, and do interviews. Not everything is done by like online. People get tired of yeah, get tired of surveys, of digital surveys, like maybe you can call them and that's it. So
Yes, exactly.
would you have
It's
any?
important to connect with these people to be able to understand them more, right? It's important.
Yes,
The surveys are important, but it's always good to take it to the next step, right?
yes. That's actually what I was gonna ask you, Ghady, if you have any final thought for them or any final advice.
No, I think it's just to always see the customer. The customers are people, right? So if they love you, they're gonna buy from you. If they don't love you, they're not gonna buy from you. So just keep in mind that you're dealing with human beings. So keep them happy. It's like your friend, like maybe not your best friend, but it's someone that you know. You do something wrong with them, they're not gonna want to deal with you. You do something good with them, the outcome of you being good with them is going to be good for you. So it's very important to care about the customers.